are beginning the bulletin with some breaking news coming in where Nirav Modi has been denied permission to move a UK Supreme Court challenging the High Court's decision confirming his extradition. That is the big breaking news that we are getting you, that the High Court has refused Nirav Modi's application to appeal to the Supreme Court, which he had tried to on 9th November 2022. The High Court had given the green signal for his extradition to India. It's a big win for India's interrogating agencies. Remember, they have been trying for the extradition of Nirav Modi, who is right now absconding in London in the UK court, and the UK court has decided to not grant him the relief that he wanted from the extradition case. That is the big breaking news, where Nirav Modi has been denied permission to move UK Supreme Court challenging High Court's decision. I'm also joined by Advocate Ujjwal Nikam to get us more detail on the story. Advocate Ujjwal Nikam, so how do you see this entire move coming in from the UK Supreme Court, where they have refused to agree as far as his case is concerned on the extradition, to stay it, or for that matter seeks to, the application plea that was filed, that has not been allowed by the Supreme Court?
Indeed, it's a great success for India, because under English law, the extradition procedure is so much complicated, and the British court assess the Indian evidence on the basis of their law. But ultimately, we have succeeded so far as the first two steps are concerned, that is the magistrate as well as the High Court. Now, of course, he has the only last option. Nirav Modi has the last option, that is to prefer an appeal to the Supreme Court. But of course, now it is not clear whether that leave has been refused or granted. But I think when the matter on the facts has been decided by the London magistrate as well as the London High Court in India's favor, so I'm very confident that we'll get through even in the Supreme Court. And ultimately, Nirav Modi will be extradited to India for facing the serious charges which have been already been framed by Mumbai court.
Sir, do you think this is going to work as an impetus for the Indian agencies to even go after the other such, absconders who have tried to dupe India and are now settled abroad?
Of course, the Indian agencies have done very tremendous good homework. And ultimately, we can't appear directly in London court, but the Crown Prosecution Service has to appear on our behalf. And because I had the experience about so far as the Gulshan Kumar murder case, we have filed an extradition proceedings in London Magistrate Court. London Magistrate has decided that Nadeem should be extradited. But again, that order, Nadeem had preferred an appeal in London High Court, and he played the communal card in London High Court, and ultimately he was succeeded in the London High Court. But so far as Nirav Modi is concerned and the criminal fugitives are concerned, like Malya and other people, I'm confident that we'll get through in all this so far as the criminal fugitives are concerned.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you joining us, Advocate Ujjwal Nikam, for getting us your views on the story, where we are getting you some breaking news at this point in time, where the UK Supreme Court has denied permission to Nirav Modi to move UK Supreme Court challenging the High Court's decision. Now, this is the breaking news that we're getting you. Remember, it was the UK's High Court decision confirming his extradition, which Nirav Modi tried to challenge in the UK Supreme Court. But the UK Supreme Court has denied that permission to Nirav Modi. He is an economic offender who is right now absconding. And the Indian agencies have been trying really hard and working very, very closely with the UK authorities for his extradition. His extradition was granted to India by the UK High Court on 9th November, which Nirav Modi tried to challenge in the UK's Supreme Court. But the UK Supreme Court has denied that permission to Nirav Modi, which essentially means a big victory for the Indian agencies, who will now try and get the extradition rights to Nirav Modi. And I'm also joined by Sarosh Zaiwala, who is an international arbitrator and lawyer, on the phone line. Appreciate you joining us on the broadcast, Sarosh Zaiwala. How do you see this move of the UK Supreme Court, who has denied permission to Nirav Modi? It is definitely a big win, a shot in the arm for the Indian agencies.
Of course, it is a very big shot in the arm for the Indian agency. But we have to see whether he actually leaves the country, because you see, with Vijay Mallya and the Supreme Court orders his extradition, but then I suspect that he has claimed asylum, and therefore under the asylum law, unless the asylum application is decided, he can't be extradited. So I'm not suggesting that Nirav Modi will do that, but could well do that. And for asylum, all that he has to do is to say that he will be in an inhuman condition, or there will be no justice. And that is one thing we have to be careful about. But anyway, it's a good thing that he has got extradited, because anybody who steals money needs to be punished.
But Mr. Zaiwala, you know, how when the UK High Court had granted his extradition rights to the Indian agencies, well, clearly when Nirav Modi tries to challenge that in the higher court, that has been struck down. So do you think this is going to work as an impetus for several other economic offenders who are right now absconding and have settled at foreign shores?
I think what India should do is to make sure that they have a right team, and they oppose even the asylum application. Because sometimes what happens is that you lose in the court, but asylum law is governed by the European Convention on Human Rights. So if they make an application that I want to claim an asylum because in India, if I'm extradited, my human rights are affected, that could be the ground for him to not to permanently stay, but till the asylum application is decided. So on the basis of the Supreme Court decision, I have not seen the decision that leave to appeal has been refused. In the ordinary course, he should be extradited. The UK Indian government agency should be able to extradite him, but they must do it as soon as possible before he claims asylum.
Mrs. Zaiwala, you're trying to say that since the asylum law still prevails, that is one other avenue for Nirav Modi to try and explore. So do you think that entire bridge that the Indian agencies were trying to build with the UK High Court, that is still somewhere, there is an impediment over there, because they may not be able to get an access to Nirav Modi if he manages to get an asylum?
It can be an impediment, and we know that it happened. I think it has happened in the Vijay Mallya case, because asylum law is governed by the European Convention on Human Rights, and all that an applicant has to be made. Applicant has to say that his human rights will be violated because there won't be fair justice or whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying that asylum application will succeed, but it takes 1 or 2 years for the asylum application to be decided, because it goes through the whole right from the bottom to the top. But it's a good thing, the decision of the Supreme Court.
Right, thank you so much. Right. But appreciate you, Sarosh Zaiwala, international arbitrator and lawyer, for joining us on the broadcast on this very, very important breaking that we are getting our viewers at this point in time.